Go live on YouTube. Get our YouTube people up in the space as well too. What's the night? Tuesday, right? Sometimes as you get older, when they say you start becoming more forgetful, they ain't lying. They ain't lying.
Gotta retrain your brain and defrag your brain at the same time. Maybe you know how to forget shit, aka defrag it. And defrag also means to organize too. So you might have to forget some things in order to learn some new shit.
Real talk. For all my folks that come on over there in YouTube tonight, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, like, share, leave a comment on tonight's broadcast. Once again, for all my people that come into YouTube, make sure you go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for tonight's broadcast. I'm glad to have our people up in here. I know we our people start falling up in here. What's up, Nightfall? As always, be one to this brother over there. Nightfall has always been a supporter, so shout out to you, Nightfall, holding it down over there in YouTube land as well. Um, but yeah, we got to touch up on this tonight, guys. I'm glad y'all coming up in the space. Like I said, make sure y'all go ahead and share it. Nightfall, make sure you go ahead and share it with the folks over there as well too. I know you guys been hearing about the situation going on in California. So many different political issues going out there in the tri-state, or what is California? I know they say the Sunshine State. I consider Florida to be the Sunshine State. No pun intended, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's some more madness, some more craziness going on. When I started hearing the thing about this bill that they were passing out then, and come matter of fact, the actual one of the co-authors of the actual bill is a black woman that actually came up with this actual crazy ass bill here. So when I saw that, I was kind of in disbelief, but I shouldn't say I was in disbelief. Really, I wasn't, because so much of this stuff is being pushed right now. You really can't keep up with it. But yeah, let me go ahead and get into it. And Original, I know you up in here, so you'll probably want to say something. Shout out to Black Majority State as well too. King Lion Crown, what's going on with you? I see you up in here as well too. So this article is from the Daily Signal. It was curated on Newstoter.com platform. I want to touch up on this and let you guys actually hear this so you can actually respond, comment as well. It says the California State Assembly passed a bill. Matter of fact, let me get back to the actual title. California passes bill requiring parents to affirm kids' gender transitions. Once again, this is from the actual Daily Signal. Nightfall said California is a bussy state. The California State Assembly passed a bill Friday that will require judges in child custody cases to consider whether a parent has affirmed the child's gender transition by making gender affirmation an equal part of the child's health, safety, and welfare under state law. Democratic leaders, lawmakers bill AB 9057 passed the Assembly by a vote of 57 to 16 along party lines. The California Senate passed the bill Wednesday 30 to 9, also along party lines. Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, is expected to sign the bill into law. Signing this shit into law, this is ridiculous. Under it, parents who refuse to participate in transgenderism by pretending that their child is a different gender could be guilty of failing to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of their child, therefore losing custody to another parent or the state. Not only might you lose the custody to your other parent, to another parent, your child might actually become a damn ward of the state. Assembly member Lori Wilson, whose child identifies as transgender, wrote the bill and introduced it February 14th. State Senator Scott Wiener, a Democrat, San Francisco, co-sponsored the measure. The Daily Signal previously stated that Weiner, whatever, amended the bill June 6, altering AB 957 from requiring a judge to consider whether a child experienced gender dysphoria was affirmed by parents to making gender affirmation an essential need of a child in California. Gender affirmation isn't defined or explained in AB 9057 or any other California law, drawing concerns over interpretation. Susan Luthi, who covers California, the Washington Free Beacon, pointed out the bill makes no distinctions regarding the age of a child, how long a child has identified as a transgender, or affirmation of social transition versus medical sex change treatments. Greg Price, communications director for the State Freedom Caucus Network, reported that the bill author Wilson has said parents affirm their children. Typically, it happens when their gender identity matches their biological gender. But when it doesn't, the affirmation starts to wane. Our duty as parents is to affirm our children. Entrepreneur in California resident Elon Musk, who owns X, the social media app formerly called Twitter, and is a parent to a child who claims to be transgender, responded by saying this. This bill is a wolf in sheep's clothing. What it actually means is that if you disagree with the other parent about sterilizing your child, you lose custody. Utter madness. Threatening the standard of health, safety, and welfare of a child under the California Family Code can carry penalties under the California Penal Code, prompting parents, activists, and lawmakers to speculate that AB 9057 could result in parents being charged with child abuse or neglect for not participating in a child's transgenderism. In a California Senate Judiciary Committee hearing June 13th, state Senator Scott Wilk warned parents to leave California if such legislation were to pass. In recent years, we have put government bureaucrats between parents, children, and doctors when it comes to medical care. And now we have this: if a parent does not support the ideology of the government, children are going to be taken away from the home, Wilkes said, adding, if you love your children, you need to flee California. The bill heads to Newsom's desk. Wow. So you can very well be charged with child abuse for just simply saying, hey, I'm not going along with this. My child was born a boy. I'm going to keep calling my son a boy. I'm going to treat him like a boy. And you can very well lose custody. If you're in a divorce, you can lose custody to the other parent. From what they say, you could potentially end up even going to jail being charged for child abuse because you don't identify with the nonsense that they're saying. This is pure madness here. This is pure madness. The bill is going to Governor Newsom's desk. This is crazy. This is beyond. This is you can't even put this kind of stuff in the support. And I'm with you, Nightfall. I'm not no Elon Musk person either, but Elon Musk, he ain't lying on this one right here. As much as Elon Musk, I have issues with him and the way he, the white supremacy vibes that he gives off, the outright racist stuff that he backs, the nonsense he constantly spews. Even this one right here, you got to go ahead. When they say a broken clock is right twice a day, he is that broken clock in this one right here. And Gavin Newsom is going to go ahead and sign this in the law. And Gavin Newsom is somebody, and I think we was in the space last night. DJ, who was in the space last night? And they said that they supported Gavin Newsom. Like they thought they was asking me, who did I think could be the Democrats? Huh?
It was a black sister said that.
Yeah, she was saying that she liked Gavin Newsom, and everybody was like, Gavin Newsom is about to sign this crap right here into law in California. Are you seriously saying that a parent can actually go to jail because you don't that if your child was born one thing, that you have to go along with this nonsense right here and sit up here and say that your child, you got a daughter, the daughter one day wakes up, she's named your daughter named Keisha. The next day she talk about her name is Keith. And if you don't go along with her being called Keith, then you're a bad parent. You're abusing her. You're mistreating her. You're messing up her mental health. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, this is the issue that a lot of black people are having with the Democratic Party right here. This is a black sister that came up with this here too. I know she has a child that's a transgender, bald head sister. Nothing wrong with having a bald head, of course, but sister, bald headed sister. She came up with this whole thing because she supports her child being a transgender, whatever. So that means everybody else in the world has to support their child being a transgender. Whatever happened to the time where like parents, your parents can love you or whatever, but they don't necessarily agree with every damn thing you do as a child? Like whatever happened to those days? Like it's like if a parent doesn't agree with 100% of what their child does or says, and that's a bad parent. There are disagreements between parents. There are parents that don't ride with everything that their child does. Whatever happened to that? Now we're to the point that, hey, if you don't go along with 100% of what your child says, you're mistreating that child. How in the hell can a kid sit up here and tell you that there's something else? I mean, this is ridiculous right here. We're sitting up here now and we're going along, and then you got the actual government that's taking part in this. The government is coming up with this stuff. You got a bunch of teachers here in the state of Florida because you've had a bunch of things going on with some of the superintendents here in Florida, you got especially a lot of these white female teachers. They get up in these schools and they sit up in there, and they have been the main ones pushing this stuff right here. A child comes to school, that child is a boy. Then the teachers start giving them pronouns and this and that. They don't tell the parents. They don't let the parents know what's going on or whatever. So you've had a whole bunch of stuff going on in the state of Florida. And as much as I dislike Rick's, what's his name, DeSantis, I was about to say Rick Scott, the other fool that was the governor before him. As much as I dislike DeSantis and them, some of what they're saying makes some sense right here. How are you going to sit up here and somebody sends their son to school, and then you're sitting up here and they don't identify? You have to go. You have to go by pronouns. My son was saying this. My son goes to this one school, and he was saying that, that this girl in the class, they can't. They don't refer, like the teachers don't refer to the girl as she or her. They have to say they or them. I'm not literally making this stuff up here. And I'm telling you, like, it's a lot of these white female teachers in these classrooms. They get upset if you can't put the LGBT stuff up in some of these schools and stuff. If you don't put up the rainbow flags and stuff on the walls and this and that, then you're discriminating against the kids. And I mean, just all kind of stuff. And then people just sitting up here just eating this stuff up, going along with it. California, we know how California leads in so many different things. So California is going to be the first one to put this in the actual play. I can tell you straight up, it ain't finna fly down here in the deep south. As much as these people are rednecks, and they are rednecks, it ain't finna fly down here in the deep south. I can't say about all the other areas, the up north, northeast, northwest, the Midwest, and all these, but I can tell you straight up here in the deep south, areas that they consider the Bible Belt or whatever, it's not from the fly, it's not from the pass, it's not from the go. I don't care how many people get upset about it, it's not going to happen, at least no time soon. Now, eventually they may wear it down like they do with so many different other things, but I don't see this happening in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, the Carolinas. None of that's finna fly anytime soon. I can tell you that straight up. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic, and shout out to everybody coming up in the space, guys. Make sure you go ahead and tweet the actual space out. Sun Gaze, I saw you left a comment earlier talking about how ridiculous this was. I can't really disagree. Shout out to you as well too. Go ahead, DJ.
Nah, I just wanted to say that's why this is white folks sadistic issues, and black women, aka the Claudines, are the face of it. There you go.
Well, I'll say this right here. You get enough black men to go along with this stuff as well too. You got enough black men in the Democratic Party and stuff to wait till if this bill was a catch, get wildfire and start spreading along. You'll get enough guys. You'll get people in the Democratic Party. I'm talking about senators that's been sitting in there a long time and stuff like that. We must not discriminate. We must not discriminate. You'll have Booker and you'll have the rest of them sitting up here going along with this stuff as well too. I mean, this is crazy here. You're sitting up here now.
Booker's a fag by nature. Ask Dr. Randy Short. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Keep it real, bro. These people are the root cause of the world, man. Got to get them out of the community, because I'm not rolling like that. Like you said, that shit ain't happening down here. It ain't popping off in Jersey like that. You know what I mean? This is obviously California, man. It's ground zero.
Well, it's definitely not going to happen in a lot of these conservative areas and stuff in the state. Nor should it. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Nor should it. When you get grown, if you want to go ahead and you want to affirm whatever you feel that you are, then by all means, go ahead and do that. But to sit up here and say that parents have no right over their kids, because that's pretty much what you're saying. You're saying that a parent has actually no right to actually be a parent to their child. That the state has a right to be. The state is coming up with this stuff. This is government. The same people sitting up in government, the same people sitting up here talking about nobody has the right to tell a woman to do with her body, are the same ones sitting up here saying that, hey, you know what? Parents have no right to have any control over their children. The same ones sitting up here, the same ones saying that, hey, you're sitting up here and you got men dictating to women what they can do with their bodies and this and that, are the same ones sitting up here saying that, you know what? Parents have no right to actually be parents of their kids. They have actually no right. Whatever the kids want to do, the kids have a right to do it. They're sitting up here and they're co-signing this nonsense right here. You got it, DJ.
Again, that's white people shit, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Because we discipline our kids and we talk to our kids, regardless if you fruit up or not. You know what I mean? So why do we need a law to pretty much be a parent to a kid? You see what I'm saying? You know, all the CPS issues and all this other shit. That's white folks because they be killing their babies, yo. They even kill our babies. Shout out to Sister Latasha. She done broke this shit down 1,000 times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying though, but you do agree with what you kind of understand what I'm saying. Like the same people that sit up here and the same party that pushes this, that it's a woman's right to decide and this and that or whatever. The same ones are sitting up here telling kids, and this is a black woman that's the face of this, and you're gonna have other black people that's gonna sit up here. Dwayne Wade and them, I believe they supposedly left Florida because they're talking about they couldn't put up with all of the nonsense in Florida and how Florida was treating quote unquote his son slash daughter, whatever. So they had to leave the state because it was just the amount of vitriol that in the state of Florida, they were receiving the backlash that that it just wasn't a place to raise a family. So Dwayne Wade, to my knowledge, he supposedly him and Gabrielle Union they packed up and they supposed to be. I don't know if they have officially already left, but I know they were supposed to be leaving. You got it, DJ, and I see we got Miss Nichols up here too. Miss Nichols, whenever you want to speak, sister, go ahead and raise your hand. Original, I see you up here as well too. Any of our other people up in the space that want to speak as well too, definitely go ahead and we'll definitely get to you. And I definitely and I definitely interested to hear what you guys say, Miss Nichols, being a woman as well too. And I know you're in the politics and you're running in 2024 for president. I definitely want to hear what you got to say about this situation as well too. Matter of fact, you can go ahead right now, Miss Nichols, and we'll get back to DJ.
Hey, how you doing? Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you so much for letting me speak in this space. When I saw it earlier, I was like, yeah, I gotta touch on this. Okay, so first of all, let me just preface this with saying I do have individuals in my family that have led an alternative lifestyle. I actually have a niece that I don't want to say she identifies the opposite sex, but she does feel more masculine than feminine. She plays football. She's an amazing athlete. She does not get offended if we call her a she, and she knows she's a girl. She's just a little bit more masculine, feminine. This is a cult, and I don't know why anybody's just not calling it for what it is. Because anytime somebody says that you need to believe something, then that makes it a religion. When you start to put labels and identification and you start to force people to say, well, you have to say it this way or you have to say it that way. And if you're not in control of what they want you to do, you basically get shouted out. That's a cult. And that's where we're at right now. The bill that they've passed is actually a violation of First Amendment rights because they are asking you to believe. The word affirm, in essence, is still a belief system. Because if you're affirming something, you're saying, okay, I believe you say what you're saying is true. I'm affirming what you're saying and telling me is true. That's a belief system. We have freedom of religion in this country. So to tell parents, if you do not believe as this child is telling you to believe, you're wrong, you're out of place. Not only that, we're going to possibly take your children from you or send you to jail. They violated their First Amendment rights. And it just cannot stand. I would definitely encourage parents to sue. Okay, we're going to go to court on this. Since you want to take it here, since you want to be in crazy town, because trust me, California is crazy town. They got another bill separate from this. Not trying to get off topic, but they have a bill in place in a headquarters for a corporation. If you don't have a woman as a director of the board, then they'll fine you. But guess what? That woman does not have to be a biological woman. Why do you even have it in the, so why do you even have this in the first place? So they're already in crazy town in California. This just makes it worse. So I would definitely encourage any parents to sue the state of California for their First Amendment right. And if they can leave, leave. But this can't stand. This needs to be taken all the way to the Supreme Court, and there needs to be a decision made because people's constitutional rights are being violated. Not only that, they are, I don't even know why people want to destroy the lives of other people, especially children, at such a tender age. When all they want is love and affection, you're going to tell them, hey, you can be something else, and have them completely mutilate themselves for life. That's just evil on its face and all that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it so much. Yeah, and like I say, and and honestly, everybody has somebody in their family that that's LGBTQ. So that's not even the issue. And like you say, this whole thing, it's to the point now that you can't even say anything about this. You can't even say that, hey, this is nonsense. You say this is nonsense, then I mean, people are trying to find a way to cancel you and stuff like that. You have to sit up here and you can't call a man, a woman. You have to add titles to it, assist this and I mean, this stuff I don't even, you know, this is a cisgender woman, and no, this is either you're a man or you're a woman, but you can't even say that before because I know a bunch of people that's LGBTQ and they still look at themselves as being a man or a woman. They don't put all these titles and all this different things and everything else to it. You're sitting up here and you're not. California's putting a law where you can go ahead and you can take one child from a parent and give it to the other child if the other parent is going along with this stuff here. And you're even talking about taking legal action. How are you going to take legal action against a parent for simply saying, hey, you know what? I can't do this. I'm not going with this. So, I mean, and like I say, for the fact of the matter that you have an actual black woman, and I know she says her daughter identified, and you can see you see a difference. You see, she says her daughter identifies or her child identifies as being a transgender. Elon Musk, I guess, supposed to have a child that is a transgender, and he's still sitting up here going against it or whatever. So I get it's two opposite ends of the spectrum right here. You know, it's just to me it doesn't make any sense. California, and you're never surprised what California does, to say the least. California never surprises anybody with the kind of stuff they sign into law here. And the fact of the matter, like I say, you got a black woman actually going along with this, and you have other black people in the Democratic Party as well that's going to go along with it. Even if they feel like they're against it, they're going to go along with it just to stay on the party line, just because they don't want to be the odd person out. Black people always, and they're always talking about the Republicans this and the Republicans that, and why don't the Republicans speak out? There's a lot of things that I know a lot of black people in the Democratic Party do not agree with, but to save face and to stay in the total company line, they go right along with it when they know they're against it. There are black people in the Democratic Party that do not agree with this. But for the simple fact that they want to have a Democrat in office, they'll go ahead and they'll vote Newsom and anybody else into actual office in California because they say, hey, you know what? It's better to have Newsom in office than it is a Republican. That's the mindset as black people. And instead of just saying, man, I can't go along with this. I'm not supporting this. I disagree with this, and being vocal about it as well too. But since the '60s, black people can't be vocal. Black people have to go with the whole minority thing. They have to go with everybody, the Rainbow Coalition thing. They can't sit up and they can't have actually any backbone to say anything because if they do, then the next thing you know, people are gonna be talking about your you're bashing these people, you're bashing those people, and you're homophobic, and you're this and you're that or whatever. So black people, it's to the point now they've went ahead and they've actually found a way to actually make black people into the actual the hate mongers in the country. If they say anything, oh, you guys, it's always, and especially talking about black men, you guys have that toxic masculinity and all this other nonsense. It's toxic masculinity, and so you have to really pay kind of close attention to what these people are actually saying now. Go ahead, Miss Nichols.
Yeah, I also forgot to mention that in Atlanta, in the city of Atlanta, Atlanta, they came out with it's like this list of I don't want to call them they're not affirmations, but they're basically affirming words that have to be used. And so it brings up the cisgender and um, model minority and all these different terms with definitions to them. So it's not just in California, it's here in Georgia too. They just haven't come after the children as strongly, but they're starting with the language first. And right now it's just in Fulton County, um, as far as I know, in the city of Atlanta. It hasn't, seeped out to the whole county. But there's literally a list that I want to say his name is Andre Dickens. He's the current mayor of Atlanta, and it follows the Agenda 2030 for the United Nations. So I just want everybody out there to know, like this stuff is no longer fake. It's not a conspiracy anymore. They are little by little trying to induct people into a cult. This is a cult. This is not just, hey, they just want us to be cisgender or cis women. No, that's a cult. When you do not have the freedom to express yourself under the First Amendment in this country and you get shouted down if you don't say what somebody wants you to say, you're in a cult, period. I'll end there.
The one thing I will say about this, and I know Atlanta is a type of city where they would go ahead and they would definitely a lot of stuff they passing out here in California. Atlanta would actually go ahead and co-sign. The issue is that they not the entire state of Georgia though they're not going to go for that. Georgia is still really red, and though they may Atlanta might go ahead and go along with that stuff. Georgia as a whole ain't gonna go along with it. Like you got some cities here in Florida that will go along with that stuff as well too. But the entire state, like I say, you're gonna have a hard time for that stuff moving in the actual state of Florida as well too. And these southern states, these deep southern states, the Bible Belt, the deep South, that stuff's just not gonna fly. It's just not going to fly. Like I said, yeah, you'll get a city here and you'll get a city within the states and stuff like that. You'll get these cities that are considered to be liberal and open and this and that or whatever. And yeah, they may go and they may do certain things in that actual city, but statewide, no way. Yeah, it ain't going to fly in Georgia. Georgia is still hella red, and it's just not going to fly there. And a lot of black people that's in Georgia are not going to agree with it. Now when you get to Atlanta, we know it's a different vibe in Atlanta. So yeah, a lot of them actually see like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that and this and that. But in terms of the entire state, yeah, they're gonna have an issue with that. But thank you, Miss Nichols. Be honest, I lost the actual order of the room. I know original. Is it original and then Ray and Rella? If so, guys, I missed the actual order, but we'll get to you.
Ladies first.
Rella, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Original. How are you? And Ms. Nichols, thank you for definitely sharing your thoughts. Ray, it's always a pleasure to see you guys. Hey, DJ. Shout out to the room. Especially being somebody who was born and raised in California, it's kind of hard sometimes in here, when people actually point at California, because a lot of people who come into California are people who are transit into California. And the crazy part is that the whole situation about the whole gender affirming and care it's just mind boggling to me. It's so disrespectful on so many levels, because they are never concerned about children as a whole, whether or not you affirm a child or not. They don't have psychological mental health services available to parents in regards to children who do show either signs of behavioral health needs outside of sexuality on this level. You don't see them with mental health care for children who don't know or who are just boys, girls, who randomly go through things on a daily basis, who need health services, mental health services. But yet you want to pull and take children from their families, break up homes. Like this to me is another form of what it was like, I think, when they were breaking up homes and taking children from their mothers and fathers during slavery. It's no different. Now you just have another subset of group of people who want to start at children and utilize children to be the gateway drug for their benefits or for the things that they are putting out into the ethosphere because they say so. This Black woman wasn't the only one who was championing this, because it takes a whole bunch of people to put legislation together, vote on it, and push it through. We just focusing on her because her name is face is on the forefront of it because she put herself in that position, right? And then at the same time, now if she hadn't put herself in that position, and yet,
Well, she wrote the bill and she introduced it.
right, but we wouldn't have known about who she was. If somebody championed her and say, yeah, let's utilize her, and this is what they do. They utilize Black people to champion things like this because they want to see whether or not it's going to, get traction and see if it'll fail or people will get on board because of level of influence. But you're telling me you're going to utilize her and her child, and on top of that, make this a thing where California has been taking Black children left and right. They've been pulling Black children out of homes left and right. And somehow she's writing legislation to okay the for CPS and other organizations that participate in gender affirming care. If they get a wind of it, or if court mandated reporting teachers report to these organizations that a child is not being affirmed by their parent, that we're going to take them from your home. What kind of what? Yeah, that definitely has to go to the Supreme Court, appeal to the Supreme Court in the state of California, because that is a violation. That bill should have been struck down, but it should have been challenged, and no one's challenging it. I don't see how. I know the parents are making a lot of noise, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And where are the legislators who were against the bill even being passed? Like, it's almost as if like we have no say so around these streets, because the moment anybody feels like, they're part of the LGBTQ community, that they are a protected class, so much so that they override everyone else in the country, and that should not be. And on top of that, why is it that it is okay that they feel like they should grown children this is the point. This is the part where I always question. Why is it that you want to grown children at such an early age in sexuality, so much so just for the benefit of pushing your agenda? And I had someone tell me, well, that's what heterosexual people do. No, we don't. No, we do not. Our first inclination is not to groom our children in sexuality. Like, this is the shit it's becoming real. Like, the lines it's out of control. And you do have people who are part of adults who are part of the LGBTQ community who are pushing back against that, because I know people who are like, nah, first of all, children should be children. Why are you pushing children to make decisions that can impact their life permanently and put them into positions where their minds change and evolve as they age and mature? They're going to be changing in their decisions. Why would you try to force things on them at such an early age? Why? Because for some reason, I think there's a subset of group of people who believe that they can ride the spirit of children into getting everyone to be LGBTQ community. That is what they want. And that has, I don't see when did that start? Like, why is it that they're using these children's essence to try to get the world to somehow see them as people and human beings? Like, that to me is the most craziest thing ever. You telling me that you believe that a child is the only gateway for you to be accepted in society? It's demonic in a way, in all ways probably, and it is one of those things where we have to get ahead of this, and I'm not knocking no adults who made the decision to live their life the way that you want to live it, but when it comes to the point where you are actually wanting to now grown children to be your gateway, because you can't seem to find the strength and the 10 toes to stand in what it is that you believe that you're doing for your life, we have a problem, because maybe you're not supposed to be doing. So I will land it. I'll land it there. And again, I agree with Ms. Nichols. There has to be something done where legislation is being addressed, because the people who are in office, or who have access, like this woman, she was given access. They weren't giving Black people access to write legislation like this before. They're using her because she decided to affirm her child. That's her. That's that woman. Why everybody else in the state of California have to follow her rule, have to follow what she's deciding to do in her household? We don't all agree.
Thank you, Rilla. I'll say this right here. I agree with you that she they're using her, but she's allowing herself to be used as well too. So I mean, she came up with the bill, and she went ahead and she presented it and everything else as well too. The real issue here is that if you look at the actual amount of transgender people you have in this country, I'm sure the population is very, very, very tiny. You may be talking about what, 3 to 5% of the population of that. So, what does this 3 to 5% of the population get its power from? Because they're having people in politics that's going ahead and that's going along with this. You like I say, and nobody really wants to say it, but I mean, it's the Democratic Party that's really been pushing this stuff. If you want to be honest, since the late '60s, they really been starting to push this stuff. When you had the civil rights and everything else going, they were the main backers of all of this stuff right here. And Black people in the Democratic Party feel like they owe them something, so they can't come out and they can't say anything, because then they're going to be viewed as a bigot. So they go along with it and everything else. I'm going to be honest. At one time, if you go back to the 80s and the 90s, Black people were vehemently opposed to gay marriage in this country. Black people were so opposed to that. Now, what a man and woman does, or what two consenting adults want to do is their own. But they voted on that at one time. In the 2000s, they voted on that, and everybody voted against actual gay marriages. And then you started having these states and everything else popping it up, and then you started, it just went against what actual America wanted. America did not support gay marriage. Black people definitely did not support gay marriage. But a lot of Black people I know that I was related to, for the simple fact that when Barack Obama started saying, he turned and he did a 360 on gay marriages, and he started supporting it. When Barack Obama came out and started supporting gay marriage, people that I know that was in my family, people in my neighborhood, people I grew up with, a bunch of people said, well, that's what they want to do. Then the simple fact of the matter that, hey, we got us a Black president in office, and if the Black president, even though we don't agree with it, we gonna ride with it. So let's be honest. The Democratic Party has been pushing this stuff for the last 50 some odd years. Straight up. Say what you want to about the Republicans, and that's not to say you don't have gay Republicans and transgender Republicans, because we know you do. But outwardly, it's been the Democratic Party that's been pushing this, that's been going along with this. The two major influences of a lot of this stuff has been the Democratic Party and has been Hollywood. And we just want to be honest about it. They are the two main backers of it. The Democratic Party and Hollywood. They have pushed this and pushed this and pushed this for the past 50 some odd years. At the same time, because people felt, well, if black people can get rights in this country, we can get right. If you ain't gonna discriminate against black people, you ain't gonna discriminate against us. We just like black people. We the same as black people. They've been pushing this stuff ever since then. And black people, I don't know if they got some kind of memo to black people that was in politics, and they told them, hey, you know what? If you guys really want to continue to rise, and you need to go along whatever we say, you go along. We're the party of the people, so you go along with us no matter what. And they've gone along with it to the point that, like I said, anytime you see a transgender kid coming out, when he was in office, Michelle Obama would be sending out congratulations and tweeting and this and that or whatever. The 13, 14-year old or somebody old that transgender and stuff like that. Like I said, if you're grown and you want to be a transgender, because you've always had transvestites. You've always had transvestites, whether they were dressing up or if they got to the point they eventually start actually doing the actual surgeries and stuff like that. You've always had You've always had a trans in this country. You had people that dressed up and everything else, and eventually you start having people that would actually do the actual sex operations. But like I say, black people were vehemently against a lot of this stuff, and it wasn't until they felt they had their own in office that they went ahead and they started supporting it. Because let's not forget, like Charles Barkley said, and Charles Barkley tried to frame black people as being a homophobic. He said that on the Fox News or something. Black people, I don't know why they so homophobic. He sat up there and started magpieing it up in front of white folks about black people are homophobic. And that's always been, black people weren't the ones that was doing all of this these experiments on people trying to convert them from being gay and this and that or whatever in this country. That was not black people doing that. For all the talk people want to talk about black people, you've always had gay people in your family. You've always had gay people in the church, namely the choir and everything else. You've always had that. You've always had popular gay entertainers, popular gay authors and writers. You had gay people that was at the civil rights, the March on Washington and everything else. So the fact of the matter that everybody wants to sit up here and they want to try to make black people into the face of being homophobic, especially black men. They want to black men, but yeah, all of these slurs when it comes to somebody's sex and everything else, black men didn't create the F word and all these other words that you call people a derogatory name for somebody being in the LGBTQ. Yet they're the ones that always got hit with this label that you guys are this toxic masculinity. This whole toxic masculinity thing is another code word as well too. Let me go ahead and kick it to original. I know you got you. We're gonna get the original. We got you, Ray. We got you, Pressure. I'm gonna get you up in here as well too. DJ, anybody wants to speak, go ahead and raise your hand, guys. Make sure you go ahead and share the room out for tonight. We're having this conversation on the actual bill 9057 out there in California about the basically about allowing your kids basically to be transgenders, and if you oppose it as a parent, then you risk losing custody of your child, even possibly facing some prison time even. Go ahead, original, you got it, and then we got you, Ray.
Peace, black power, and lineage-based reparations for us. Well, the way I see this, and we have to look at this very carefully, this is nothing but an extension of their eugenics program against black folks. Because see, when I lived in California, I remember this lady being on. She was a guest on this radio station, and either she was a guest or she was called. Anyway, she was on the radio station, and she talked about how difficult it was for her and her husband to adopt a black child. But yet, when these gay white men predominantly wanted to adopt a black child, they didn't have that problem. So this is about, like Rella said, this is about grooming, and the strongest one on the planet are black people. And if you look at how these black elected officials, because remember Newstoter, when I read Andre Dickens' platform that he ran on the diversity and inclusion that he ran on for mayor of Atlanta, it was a gay platform. And see, and one other thing too, we have to stop using these letters. Just call it what it is, gay. them to dictate to you how you should say whatever. They don't control your mind. I don't use those. I just say gay. Even if they got them, I just say gay because at that point we are participating in this. See, when we use their language, we are participating in it. So we have to stop that as well, and just use the word gay. And if they get mad, so be it. You can't make somebody say what you want to say. Because I know at work one day, this person this guy who is gay, married to a white woman, and he sent me an email requesting some stuff, and I'm like, what the hell is this? He had all this he, they, them, and I said, what the hell is this? And he said, oh, well, that just shows that that you are open and this is a safe place for gay folks. Well, I said, I'm just going to put mine, original black man. That's it. He looked at me strange. And that just like, and remember, Newstoter, I don't see them in here tonight, but we had one of our regular people that would come into the space. They would use that term homophobic. And when I started saying, wait a minute, phobia is an irrational fear of something or someone. Stop calling black folks homophobic. We're not homophobic. And a phobia has to be clinically diagnosed. So it's like when we begin to play into this, that's what makes them win. And we have to begin to push our own, push whatever identity we want to push and not there. Because see, the whole, this entire system is sick. You got the sick Democrats doing stuff like this. Then you got the jacked up in here Republicans. They want to govern by their little raggedy ass religion. Well, I don't want to live by your religion. If that's your religion, that's fine. That's what works for you. It don't work for me. I don't believe in that. So then we're left at a point. Okay, well, who? I mean, see, and then you got the Republicans who are overt racists, the Democrats who are covert racists. So we have to figure out a way how we can make one of these damn parties work for us, and not go along with all this stupid stuff. Because even going back when Keisha Bottoms ran for mayor of Atlanta, she had what she would do for the gay community, nothing for black folks. Cassine Reed, this lady named what's her damn name? I call her By Felicia Moore. Her name is Felicia Moore, and when she was running for city council president, so she was on a radio show, and it was me that called in, and I questioned her. She was running against this white Asian. I asked her if they will support a resolution stating that black people deserve reparations the same way that they supported two resolutions stating that illegal aliens should have the right to stay in this country. She said no. So, and people see, again, the reason some of these black folks go for this stuff because they brainwash them. They start telling black folks across this country, well, our ancestors died for the right to vote. Do you know my ancestors? Do you know what my ancestors did? So you can't say my ancestors died for the right to vote because you don't know them. That's how I start responding to these nuts. And they want everybody to go along with this. And let's not forget, y'all see, here's the issue. See, the gay white community think that the black vote belongs to them. Because see, I'm gonna tell you something. It was these black elected officials on the local, state, and federal level that start supporting all of this stuff. All of this stuff. And why? Because we did not clamp down on them and make them do what we needed. And so when Prop 8, as I've said before, when Prop 8 passed in California about marriage being between a man and a woman, and when it passed, and you had some black folks that went to stand in solidarity with these crazy fools, the gay white folks blamed the black folks because they said because the black folks voted for it, but they called black folks the N-word. I don't know, can we say that in this space? But anyway, because I know when I'm citing what someone says about the only time I use that word. But then, it's like, and so black folks, there were some black folks who came down hard on them. Maxine Waters and the entire Congressional Black Caucus did not say a damn word about them folks calling, black people niggers. But yet, if like I told them, had that been because he had ladies on the radio here in Atlanta, I said, well, if it was a hillbilly Republican calling black folks that, y'all would be up and on. We couldn't get you to shut up. You have a whole show on it. See, they get real quiet when you throw it back in their face. And that's what we have to start doing, because the truth be told, the majority of these so-called talk shows on commercial media, they are controlled. Some of them try to sound like they got a backbone in their back. No, they don't. They go along with whatever agenda. And the talk show we have here in this city of Atlanta, it ain't nothing but a Democratic shield organization. That's all it is. But that's all they push. Now, and some of them hosts will pretend to do such and such, but no, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to do a thing because they don't want to disrupt their paycheck. And that is basically what's going on. Because, see, I'm going to tell you something. See, I took this book to work one day. Jack got the whole office. That book, got the Electable Negro. See, that's how I roll sometimes. And so somebody, who book? Oh, that's my book. I'm reading that. And so I said, they talked about homoeroticism. And I said, look, y'all don't understand. I said, and I told this one guy, I said, look, what your group did to my people, y'all raped us, and you raped men, boys, y'all didn't give a damn. So I want to hear this stuff about black folks being homophobic. So I throw it back at them. Y'all have done the gay white community has done worse to black folks than any other community. Yes, they have. And they can, and if any of them listen to this, they can get mad all they want to. It is the truth. And so they just don't want to believe it. But again, we get these people in these two different stupid ass parties to go and they go along with this garbage, and then we are left to defend ourselves. Yeah, nobody there defending us. You see, because I don't want to hear about your little raggedy ass God. Excuse me if I don't mean to offend anybody, but I don't want to hear about your little raggedy ass God and your raggedy religion, because it hasn't done anything for me. But if you want to talk some real solutions, let's have a conversation. But don't bring that up with me, because I don't want to hear it. I don't mean to be rude, but that's just where I am at this point in time. And so I think that if we begin to work together and just show people showing them exactly what's going on, because like I said, that book, The Delectable Negro, disrupted the whole office, and I'm still working, So I just said, hey, it's a book. It is a book that documents, and even within that book, bro, there was a part in there that talked about, Frederick Douglass was raped on the plantation. And these white scholars, they were saying stuff like, well, he don't know what he's talking about. Excuse me, he was there and you wasn't, and it happened to him. But yet anyone else, they want to pour on the sympathy cry and everything else. So I just think that we have to organize ourselves in a way and let them know. Because I've been sending stuff to these people, whether they read it or not, letting them know. No vote 2024. I'm not voting for this stupidity. And like I tell these Democrats, due to the overt racism of the Republicans, they're not an option for me to vote for. And then I let them know, due to your vehement anti-black covert racism, you're not an option either. So y'all just have to fight out amongst yourselves. But I can tell you right now, I did not vote in 20, didn't vote in 22, and I'm not voting in 24. Because at some point, enough of us, whatever that number is, has to stand up and let these people know we're not going along with the program. And that's when they go, they don't woke up now. That's one of the reasons why they want to make woke a bad term, because we're putting stuff out there and letting them know that it's not going down like this. And I know there was a post where this looked like he was about maybe between 8 and 9, but he said he was in school and said the teacher was telling him that he can wear a dress. So the teachers now have the right to groom your child and flip your child into something that they're not, but you can't call your child the gender that they're born. This is insane. But see, like I said though, if the Republicans wasn't so racist, I wouldn't have a problem voting for them. But I'm not giving you a vote and knowing how stupid and hateful that you are towards black folk. I'm not giving you that. See, it's kind of the same way when what's his name, Joseph Lowry. He was in an interview and he was asked, was there anything he ever regretted during his tenure of fighting for civil rights? And he said the only thing that he regretted was supporting Clarence Thomas. He said he thought Clarence would get in and maybe do something, a little something right. This dumbass, I call him a gorilla. Look, he was marked by a gorilla. Anybody can take it any way they want. At this point, I really don't care. Um, he everything that he has done has been against black folks. And now I'm glad the information coming out where it has been stated that these billionaires was funding his wife, which is that is part of his income, and they just push the racist Republican agenda. And so, and let me say this: the so-called liberal Democrat are not any better. But this lady that's pushing this bill, she is just as bad as Clarence Thomas, if not worse. So I don't know which one. I don't know which one of them is worse, really. But they both of them are bad for black folks. We have to get. We have to begin to uh, make sure we have people, young people coming up, and they are balanced and they understand exactly what we need. Not these dumbass schools that will take on whatever these dumbass parties want them to go along with. That's insane. And I'll land with that. Oh, well, let me say this news story because see, people would get mad at me when I was in California. They talked about, oh, well, you're from the Bible Belt. People use that term as if it's something to be proud. I said, look, let me tell you something. I said, there is no such thing as no damn Bible Belt. The only Bible Belt I know of is down preacher inside the hotel room with his pants around his pants and belt around his ankle trying to get his freak on. I said, if this is a damn Bible Belt, why do they treat black folks the way they do? I said, stop using that term. I said, how could you say that? I said, just like you want me to say it again. I said, there is no such thing as a Bible Belt. It don't exist. These are some racist ass crazy white folks who want you to go along with their stupidity and that me because I don't go along with it. And I'll land with that.
All right, thank you, Original. Let me go ahead and get to Ray. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Ray? All right, Ray having some connection issues. He was there. Let me go ahead and get the Black Pressure. Pressure, go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Black Pressure? Oh, I see Ray coming back. I don't know what happened with Black Pressure. Like he paused up too or something. I don't know. Alrighty. Let me see. Ray, you there?
Yeah, man. Seemed like the second I tried to, click off the speak, man, it dropped me for whatever reason. But I just wanted to say I agree with definitely what a lot of people, with everyone's saying. There's just a lot going on. So I remember not that long ago I brought this up about what was I talking about? The slippery slope. if you can't get people to believe it after seeing this, I honestly don't know what else to say. Because if we all remember, in the beginning, it was just, hey, we just want to get married. So it's like, all right, cool. Anything, we'll support that, whatever. Y'all grown, do what you need to do. Then it's, oh, well, we need you to bake our cakes. All right, cool. Nothing but a cake, cool. Then it's, okay, well, now I need to use our pronouns. And then it's, we need you to allow minors to dance for us in drag. Or allow us to dance in front of minors in drag. And then it's, we need to let teachers choose your child's gender. And now is you could lose your kids for not accepting transgender choices. I mean, if it's not clear as day, I don't really know what else to really say, to be honest. I was on Twitter, I believe it was yesterday, or it might have been the day before yesterday, and I actually was scrolling online, scrolling down my timeline. I saw something about gays crusade. And I'm not trying to get off the subject, but I really feel like this is something that needs to be said. Because I was like, what the hell is that? Gates for Satan? What the shit is that? I went to do a little research because they had that Baphomet symbol on there. And if y'all look it up, y'all actually, well, I didn't know this, that Baphomet deity, whatever you want to call it, that thing is itself actually transgender. So I'm like, oh, okay. Now I'm starting to understand why this is going. I don't know if they were just trolling or what, but I just wanted to bring that to family's attention. And someone mentioned something about our kids saying that we're grooming our kids, as straight people or whatever. Well, the truth is, we're not. These are our kids. If I want them to have the values that I want to instill in them, I can do that because, again, these are my kids. I'm the one that is raising them. I'm the one that is financing them, putting them through school, taking care of them when they get sick, etc. Who are you to come in and tell me how I should raise my kids? I know I can't be the only one who feels that way, but that's just a couple of things I definitely just wanted to touch on. And family, I had one question I wanted to ask just for the room. Maybe it's just me, but when did it go from transsexual to transgender? Because it seems like now the kids can be, trans. All of a sudden they want to drop the transsexual. I land there.
I started. It seemed like maybe about, I don't know, maybe about, I want to say maybe 13, 14 years ago. It seemed like this stuff really started to pick up and start to change. Maybe 15 years ago. It just seemed like it really started to change. Maybe around about 15 years ago or so. Maybe could have been a little bit earlier than that, but it just seems, from what I can recollect, that it seems about 15 years ago is when you started just having all these different things just taking on a mind of its own, from what I can remember, Ray, to be honest. But I could be wrong, but I would definitely say about 15 years or so ago, it just seemed like that's when everything really started to kind of just switch. It was all about LGBTQ, and then it just went to transgender, and then it was like that was just a whole nother, like, what is a transgender? And it just, from then on, it's just, we at to where we at now. So I would probably say about at least maybe about 15 years ago, if my memory serves correct, that's what I would say probably.
I just wanted to add this in real quick too before you move on. Hold on, give me a second.
Alrighty, we'll come back to you then, I guess, Ray. I'm not sure. Black Pressure, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, fam.
No, okay, because I had called you a couple times. You heard me, and I was like, I couldn't.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I was in the gas station, and when I went in, I just left my phone at the bar. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You had your hand up, Pressure. You wanting to say something?
Oh, I didn't know if you were ready or not. So keep mine short and sweet. I'm feeling under the weather about 5 o'clock today, so I say I'm still in line from DJ. I'm gonna agree with everybody. This is the really my only point is like kind of touching on closely what Rilla had said. We're talking about our children. Ray touched on it. We were talking about our children, man. This is not some case of some redneck cop body slamming some adult on the concrete. We're literally talking about not just our children, the minds of our children. And my question is, why is California not on fire? That's really, I'm being dead serious. Once the residents of that state heard that, there literally should have been an instant riot. So I'll mute up and listen.
Thank you, Pressure. Real quick, guys, for those that have not, in the Jumbotron, the YouTube channel is up in there. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, for those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those that don't have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. And over there on YouTube, guys, the Cash App is on the screen. Also, the Venmo and PayPal is up in the description. Let me go ahead and get to DJ. It's been a little minute, so go ahead and unmute your mic.
I just want to say way pussy too though, so it don't matter. He gay.
Alrighty. Original. And like I said, I see we got some other people up in here as well too. So shout out to some of our people that's up in here. I see Carlos up in here, Infinite. Shout out to you guys that come up in here. Okay, Rizza. Rizza, we'll let you go ahead and get up in here. Rera, if you want to speak tonight, sweetie, just come on up here and raise your hand. What's up, Rizza? How you doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, fam? This is Lorenzo Dickman Jr. from Anchorage, Alaska, by way of Tuskegee, Alabama, FBA ADOS. I want to start out by answering one of the questions someone asked. When did they go from transsexual to transgender? And one of the cats said, like 15 years ago. It actually started 23 years ago. It started right around the time the Bush administration went into effect. After that fiasco that happened between Al Gore and George Bush, during that first period of the Bush administration, there were a lot of things happening in the background. So I want to say that it was 23 years ago. But if anybody says 15 to 23 years ago, they would pretty much be on the same path. Now, the strategy that I'm doing in order to weed out the nonsense associated with this transgender movement is I'm looking at who wrote the news articles, the podcast, the video documentaries, and I'm connecting the dots by finding their associations for who they're working with. That way I can understand the nature of who is producing what in order to prevent us from being inundated with this BS material. The reason why I call it that is because a lot of the movement is focused on removing the scientific application of it. Scientifically, we were born either two different ways. We were born male or we were born female. Even though we have the ability to alter the human body, how you come out is what you are. And what they're doing is they're using this in a negative way that eventually is going to affect us. One of the books that I was reading had a black kid that was like maybe 10, 12 in this comic, not a comic book, children's book, taking it in the butt. I'm like, you're giving this to kids to read? No. So me and my friends are in the process nationwide of getting these books off the shelf. Because when you go to the library, your goal is to learn. But you're not going to learn something that socially affects you in a way that demeans you from being what you are. We don't play that. Most black people, whether they know it or not, they have family members that go back in their lineage that are part of the warrior class. And I just don't see that recessiveness in black people. People are learning this technique concerning the LGBTQIA movement. So what I'm trying to do is expose it. I got you. Expose it to what it is. And that's the strategy I'm using. I encourage you guys to do the same thing too. Between that and printing out material for reparations and passing it out to people is what I'm currently working on right now. So that's basically the way I would approach it. If you guys really want to get to the nitty gritty of it, you need to figure out who's pushing this. That means you have to look at who wrote the books, who wrote the news articles, who created the podcast, how are they connected to associations that are allowing them to pull this off, and those are people we need to counterattack. And I'll land my plane there for further instructions.
All right, thank you, Ariza. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Original?
I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute. I started talking, I forgot to unmute. But I'm trying to find. See, I was doing some research on this gender stuff, and it has like this guy named Robert Stoller, a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, and he started studying this guy. What's his name? I think his name is John Money, who had wrote some books on this stuff, and so they decided to play Frankenstein and wanted to see who, if they could, change people from what they are. That's where a lot of this stuff is coming from. It's coming and see it, and if you notice now, see, you get a lot of black people who major in the social science field. They groom them to come and tell us how we should perceive these other these people, these alternative people. Not understanding it's like, okay, so you did this just to get a piece of paper. And that's where a lot of this stuff is coming from. And that's why people have to begin to understand that, look, you know, what Black Pressure talked about, why there isn't a riot in California. Because, see, what has happened is they have taken control of a lot of these people's mind. Because, see, you have a lot of people whereby uh, a lot of black folks, they're terrified. I'll give you an example. I was working this job, and something had went down, and I wrote this response to the issue, and I printed it out, and I allowed other people to read it. And so there's one guy, there's one brother, I allowed him to read it. He said, the next thing he's hunting me down. Original, where's that paper? Where's that letter you wrote? Where's that letter? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I said, well, what you want with it? Well, I want to get my fingerprints off of it. I mean, we got some chicken shit folks out there. They scared that white folks go. I mean, if you that scared, I don't want you around me, but I ain't got no time for it. You know, I really don't have any time for it. But that is what's going on. And like I said, you got these two crazy ass political parties that one is crazy to the left and the other one is crazy to the right. You know, one want to push a sexual agenda on you, the other one want to push an old jacked up religious agenda on you. And see, they come at you because they were making. Y'all saw how these Republicans were back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They called themselves what? The moral majority and all these other old crazy words. And behind the scene, they were screwing each other like crazy. Because let's not forget this book called The Franklin. And see, the reason a lot of this stuff go over too is that a lot of these Republicans are locked up with this stuff. I want y'all to look up this book. You might be able to find it on a PDF. It's called The Franklin Cover-Up. It was about a homosexual sex ring that was being run out of the White House when old Ronald and Nancy were in the White House. And so a lot of the people, they were in, I think it was Kansas, and some of the children were murdered, but they were, I mean, it just got graphic where they were, at one point when they were talking about how this guy was, they had these sex parties, how they were just raping these children. It was awful. If you can stand to read it, or sometimes you have to put it down and just let it go. But yeah, it's called The Franklin Cover-Up. And they tried to block this guy from putting that book out there, but he got it out there anyway. And that's just what these people do. See, both the Democrats and both of them jacked up in the head. Don't let them fool you with their religion. Do not. See, the Republican got this so-called pious religion that they want to use. And the Democrat, they got their fake religion they want you to live by. So both of them, it's like one of these speakers said earlier, you know, this is their religion, and it really is. It is their religion. And so I just think that we just have to organize in a way to make sure that we have to stop them. Whatever we got to do to stop them. And I mean both of them, because neither one of them are doing us any good. I mean, to be honest with you, neither party's doing us any good. And so I just want people to understand that a lot of this stuff, it is coming from the social science community that they are pushing this stuff. Because I remember the one person that I had told when they would use that term homophobic, and they didn't like it when I started saying, no, a phobia is an irrational fear of something or someone, and have you clinically diagnosed that person. See, when you start posing a question like that, that stops them in their tracks. And so then they got to figure out how they're going to get around that. Then when you ask them, are you a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist? Well, no, but then how can you call somebody that word? We have to develop mechanisms by which we can just stop them dead in their tracks when they start talking this foolishness. So so the children, at all costs, we got to protect our children. They are first and foremost. What has to be protected are the children. And if we don't do that, then we have failed them. And I'll land with that.
like I said, I know Ariza was talking about like going back and finding it. Like I say, I when you look at the actual party that really pushes this stuff, more than likely, and not more than likely, but it is a Democratic Party that's actually pushing it, and the Democrats don't make it any secret either. So I mean, we could go back and we can do go back to the podcast and the audio clips and the newspapers and everything else, but like I say, since the late 1960s, and you can start looking, and you can look at the late 1960s and everything else is when this stuff really, really, the Democratic Party really started really push this stuff, and it just kind of just took off from there. So I mean, I think that's what we have to go back to, and you can see over time they've gradually pushed it, pushed it, pushed it, pushed it. They've slightly pushed it here, slightly pushed it there, and they constantly keep pushing it, and that's where we're at to this day, and this point right now. Ray, go ahead and unmute your.
Newstoter.
Yeah,
Let me say this real quick, and don't forget, we can't leave out Hollywood.
that's what I said earlier. That's what I said. That I
That's
said. That I said the Democratic Party and Hollywood have pushed it. They have been the two biggest pushers, the two biggest backers of this, big time.
because see, remember that movie? I think the movie was called The Boob Tube or something like that. I forget. It was one of these crazy ass movies. And so the movie, it was just basically it was a movie about just overly sexed people. And so towards like I think towards the end of the movie, or and yet what you have to look at is when they released this stuff within the movie. I think it was towards the end of the movie. These two guys they was doing whatever, and then the other guy, he started telling the guy that towards the end, he said, "Well, I love you." And then it went off with them like looking at each other like oh, okay, so and so it's like, see, then at that point that's embedded in people's subconscious, and they're looking at this stuff, and so that's what helped them to move a lot of this stuff, because it's kind of like they hit you. It's like I've heard people say they watch some of these so-called gangster shows or whatever, and then it's like out of the blue they'll show, it's kind of like, what was that movie? It was a series called it was one that dealt with the riot in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So you had this guy, he became a policeman, and then he was married, and so this white guy figured out who he was, and so the white guy was supposed to help him, make get rid of these evil white folks in the city. So then the next thing you know, you see this black, it came out of the blue. You see this black guy banging on the white guy, and then so when they could have taken them all out, and he called the white guy and told him, he said, "Hey, they're all here. We can get them." The gay white guy backed out, and the black guy was left on his own. He was left on his own accord. This is insane. It is crazy, and so you got to look at that aspect of it too. Sorry to butt in right there, but I'll land.
Oh no, you good? You good? I know Ray. He was just up here. He must have had some connection issues. Let me get you back, Ray. Ray, you there? You there, Ray?
Yeah. Sorry, when y'all heard me say that earlier, I was talking to my wife when I said hold on. Sorry about that. But what I was gonna ask was tomorrow in California, I believe it's Pasadena, they're actually having a rally with this whole Bill 957, trying to stop it. So let me see. Tomorrow in Pasadena courtroom, we want to oppose California Bill AB 957, which makes it legal for the state to steal children from their parents who want to affirm their genders. Please, if you live in the area and you can make it up there, please try to go and show support. And I guess there was a little boy named Aiden. His mother's trying to transition him, and the father's against it. The father's about to lose custody, so it's a whole mess. It's real out here. And they said, this is a good quote I want to read from the Aiden's father. Aiden's father said, "They're saying that my son was born in the wrong body, when in reality he was just born in the wrong state." And I'll land right there.
All right, thank you, Ray. Let me go ahead and get back to Risen. Anybody else that hasn't had a chance to speak, come on up here and request a microphone, and we will get you up in here to speak as well too. So anybody that wants to speak tonight, definitely come on up here, and we'll go ahead and we'll get you in here to speak. I see my girl Trouble down there as well too. So shout out to Trouble. Carissa, what's going on with you as well too? So anybody that wants to speak, guys, definitely come on up here and speak. And for those that can, once again, I'm gonna say again, if you got $1, you can donate to Newstoter, $Newstoter, Newstoter. It ain't got to be a bunch of money, but if you got $1 or two that you can spare, it is greatly appreciated and put the use for the largest black-owned Black American news media curation platform, which is newstoter.com. So definitely make sure you visit newstoter.com daily also to stay up to date on breaking Black news and Black America as well too, guys. So if you have not visited newstoter.com, make that a daily exercise. Going over to newstoter.com, stay up to date on what's in news, politics, lifestyle, culture, entertainment, pretty much the rundown of everything. So definitely visit newstoter.com to stay up to date. Breaking news in Black America, the largest Black-owned Black American news media curation platform today in America. $Newstoter, Newstoter. For anybody that wants to donate to the curation platform, also Venmo and PayPal is up in the jumbotron. Riza, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, I'm back. Thank you. I just wanted to let you guys know. Original Blood mentioned the Franklin cover up is now in the subtext of the topic of the subject too. And so, if you guys want to be able to see it, I took a screenshot and I posted it. You can also request it from your local library. If any of you want to be able to read a copy of this book, but you don't want to buy it, but you want to be able to read it, the best method to do that is to get a copy of it from your local library. If you want instructions on how to do that, send me a DM and I will teach you how to request these books and other books from your local library, even if that library doesn't have it. So that's all I wanted to say. I'll land my plane there. I'm very grateful to be a part of the talk. And if you have any questions, folks, please ask me questions. I'll try to answer them the best I can. I'll land my plane.
All right. Thank you, Riza. Appreciate it as always. We know you have a lot of information, so definitely glad for you to come up in the space and speak on it as well too. And like I said, guys, y'all, I mean, we pretty much know how this thing is going to go. Newsom is going to go ahead and sign this thing into law. It's going to be making major news. It'll be on all of the actual news stops, and you know it'll just be another push forward to something that I don't really think, not really think, but I know that's not beneficial for this country in the long haul. I don't see how sitting up here basically letting kids decide what they want to be, wake up one day and want to be, and then I don't see how that's beneficial at all. I mean that's a hornet's nest that we're staring up right there. But nonetheless, you're taking authority and power away from actual parents as well too, placing it into the actual hands of the government, telling people what they can do. You'll have parents, and you can just see the kind of problems this is going to create. You're going to have when parents are getting divorced and one parent is dead set against something, and you have another parent tell, well, I support them doing this and that or whatever. And automatically the law is going to side with the parent that goes along with this nonsense as well, too, because it's already to a certain degree to that point. I mean, so people are going to sit up here and say that you're affecting this child's mental health and all this other stuff as well. Ray, go ahead. I see you got your hand up.
I was gonna say anybody that supports this, that should be absolute career suicide. Everyone and people that voted yes to this craziness, they absolutely need to be put out for real, man. I mean, seriously, when is enough gonna be enough? And someone mentioned earlier, like why are they trying to the kids? Because they know we as adults, we aren't gonna go for that shit. But the kids, they're young, their minds are impressionable, so they want to get them while they're young. That's just the honest truth of it. And they're mad because we're saying, no, this is my child. I want to raise them the way I want to raise them. And this is what's becoming. So, I mean, honestly, if we got to be the bad guys and stand up and be called homophobic, whatever you want to label me, it just is what it is. But my child is my child. I'm going to raise my child the way that I want. No one's going to tell me otherwise.
Real talk. Black pressure. What's going on? You got it.
Like, excuse me, like Ray was saying, the household I grew up in, it was my father and my mother, for the most part, and their word was the law. Period. I remember me and my brother, we were young, It's early 90s. I'm showing my age. Early 90s. I was a kid, though. I wasn't 28. I was a kid. Like 92, 93. Of course, you had Snoop and Dre and all of it. You want to emulate the rapper. And me and my brother, we come in the house with our hat turned to the side, and our hat turned back. My dad, hey, turn your goddamn hat to the front. And it better be in the front every time you come in here. And guess what? It was to the front every time we came in there. So, like Ray was saying, this law, I don't know if they passed it or trying to pass. Imagine that someone came to your mother or your father as they were rearing you, and they say, "Hey, you can't rear your children like this. If your son want to come in the house with his whole ass hanging out, slapping to the back of his knees, you can't tell him You can't tell him to pick his pants up, or else we'll arrest you." Just imagine that. Certain music you couldn't listen to, certain way you had to dress, all of that shit. In my household, like I say, my parents' words were that was the law. Now, when you got grown and left, you could do what you wanted to do. But when you were living under my mom and my father and my mother's roof, that was it. Their instructions were it. So this is, like Ray, everybody else said, it's just mind-boggling. It is. It's mind-boggling. I cannot imagine, like Rilla said, living in a reality like this. This is a new reality we're in. Mute up and listen.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that pressure too, because back in the day, your parents they weren't having that. And, you know, just like you, I grew up in the '90s and around the same age as you and everything else as well too. So yeah, 92, 93, we listening to the Chronic, and I don't think Doggy Style came out yet. So yeah, certain music I wasn't even gonna play in the house, like straight up, like. So you had to be. I mean, on that note, you had to be careful and all this, but what you ain't gonna do and this and what you gonna telling them what you gonna do and all this and that. Like, no, I don't think so.
Hey, no, gonna make you laugh. One time, my brother, I think it was the Chronic. I think it was, or it was a Chronic or Doggy Style. It was one of, but we had the cassette tape. Kids in the room probably don't know what that is. So my brother had the radio edit, the radio version of the songs, and we were in the house and my old man was back and forth, working outside. He heard the radio edit. Cut that shit off, and I better not over here. So you couldn't even play the clean version in my house.
Yes, sir. I mean, I like I say, I can remember a couple times that happened to me as well too. So I definitely understand what you're saying on that part. I know Ariza was asking Lori Wilson, Democrat in California. She's the one that actually wrote the bill and introduced it. So she was the one that and I think Scott Weiner, whatever his name is, he co-sponsored the measure as well too. So
It's Wiener.
Weiner, I didn't want to say Weiner, but if that if
And
that.
he doesn't have any kids, but he's pushing this on our kids.
So yeah, they were the two that she was the one that came up with it. So somehow she was the one that went ahead and wrote the damn bill and introduced it, and he just went ahead and co-sponsored it. But you know, they pretty much was in it together. So that's what it is. A real quick. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh, you don't want to say winner, you misgender me. I'm reporting to space, TSSL.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was Wiener or Warner. I was like, well, I knew it was Wiener, but I'm like, damn, like I don't want to I don't want to say his name the wrong way, but hey, it is what it is. Original, go ahead, original.
Okay. I just want to share this. Now, I did find that the Franklin cover up, you can get it on a free PDF. There's this Internet Archive, archive.org, or just type in the Franklin cover up PDF, and that link should show up, and you can download that book if you can stomach to read it. It has some things that you just do not want to, you may not want in your mind. Okay, but I just want to say that that book is available on a PDF as well. And I land. Hey, News, can I jump in for like 20 seconds?
Go ahead.
Respond to original.
Go ahead.
Hey, he was saying the Franklin cover up. I've never read it, but he was talking about, read at your own peril. I read The Delectable Negro, and I got to the end, and I was like, nigga, who the hell wrote this? What is this nigga talking about? This dude started talking about some complete faggot shit. And I was like, look, what am I? It was the 98% of the book was interesting. I got to the end, I'm like, what is this nigga talking about, man? I meet up and listen. But yeah, that's it. You said it right, but see what it was? It was how gay white men rape black men on these plantations. And see, the issue is that they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to have that conversation because if you notice how, especially these gay white folks, they always want to present themselves as being a victim, but yet because see, I'm telling you, this gay white guy on my job, when Big Swole was running for governor in 2018, he was going around asking people to vote for her, and I said no, and then I started sharing stuff about what his demographic had done to black folks, and he scurried away from me, and because I told him, I said, look, y'all have not been our friends. You all have done all kind of foul things to us, and so so it's like if you think I'm going to vote for somebody that's not going to do anything for black folks, but they're going to take care of you, you are out your damn mind. And see, that's why Big Swole lost. She lost in 2018, and she lost by a wider margin in 2022. But yeah, it's some freaky stuff. You can't just read it. You have to read, or in some cases, you have to go through the book and then just kind of pick and choose what you may want to read. It's some jacked up stuff. It's some jacked up stuff. I'm not gonna lie. There is some jacked up stuff in these books. That's why I'm saying, if you can help it, don't buy it. And I'll land.
All right. Thank you, Original. Go ahead. I guess it's Ray. I'm not sure. Ray or Riz. I'm not sure which one is first.
I'll be real quick. So I just wanted to let everyone know about some other stuff I found. So there's some other bills, which I'll put in a jumbotron or post it, send it to you if you need me to. But there's SB 132, and that requires it requires prisons to put males in female prisons if they claim they feel like a woman. That's SB 132. Next, SB 139. It reduces the penalty for knowingly giving AIDS without informed consent. Giving AIDS without informed consent. SB 239. And there's SB 866, which allows kids to consent to medical decisions without their parents knowing. Next is SB 145. It reduces the penalty for offenders who sodomize children as young as 14. SB 145 reduces the penalty for offenders who sodomize children as young as 14. Then there's SB 107. It removes an out-of-state child from the parent if the child travels to California to obtain gender transition procedures. And obviously, everyone knows about AB 954 that punishes parents who don't affirm the child's trans identity. And I'll land there.
Yeah.
Hey, hit my DM with it if you don't mind, sir.
That's AB 957, Ray. But go ahead, Ariza. You got it.
Okay, thanks as always, Newstoter. Ray, if you can, please follow me on Twitter and send me a DM because in California we do have the recall process, which means if it's written up correctly, these people got to go. I see the writing on the wall, and apparently what they're trying to do is to uproot the legal foundation of the entire process that limits parents as well as legal guardians the ability to make some type of correctness. And then as a result, you have all these people who are confused and they're not going to be moving upwards. As a form of empowerment, it'll be struck down because they can say, well, the law says that we're allowed, not on our watch. So Ray, add me, let's go through this together, and if push comes to shove, you know what we got to do. Now I'll land my plane there because I think what they're trying to do just ticked me off. It just ticked because I just realized that they got a strategy to undermine a parent's ability to make the social correctness to show their kids that the way that they see things is very amateuristic because they're not grown up. I'll land my plane.
All
Yeah,
right.
I already followed you, brother, and check your DMs. I sent you all the bills, whatever it is we just talked about, and I sent it to you too, Black Pressure.
All right. Pressure, you got your hand up. Go ahead. You got it.
Okay, real quick, thank you. Right. Also, too, I'll be the first one to admit I do not know the law about the stuff. I will not pretend to, but I do know this. Over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I'm a YouTube surfer in my downtime. Look up all kind of crazy stuff. No rhyme or reason. There are a good bit of stories if you YouTube it. Like I say, I'll say again, I don't know the law. Maybe some states already have this, where transgender prisoners got other prisoners pregnant. And you could see those stories, or if you YouTube it, you could see those stories in different states. I don't know what states, but I know that does exist where men can be in prisons with women.
Thank you, Pressure. Yeah, you've been that's been pretty damn common lately. You had I guess supposed to be some of these dudes are supposed to be trans or whatever, and they put them or they're supposed to have a trans woman and I don't know how. I'm like the whole trans thing. I'll be honest, it's a little confusing. But whoever it was put in the prison they weren't supposed to be and end up being knocked up. Just put it that way. Original, go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, one of those was, I know there was one of those, one of those men who had altered their body. There was one that was in England. There was one in the state of Illinois, and I can't remember. There's about maybe 2 or 3 others in the United States whereby they put these men in the prison with these women, and then the women, these women start coming up pregnant. And so that's just like how, remember when AIDS initially came out, and then they said that gay people couldn't give blood. So now they're trying to change that, saying that they're fighting now to try to reverse that, to get it to where gay people can give blood. And so, because like I said, the whole damn thing is just twisted. And so, and when you start, questioning these people, they get very irate with you. But I've had them to get irate with me. I said, well, you can't have my mind. I'm not sorry for that as well. I don't say I'm sorry. I say I'm not sorry, because technically that's what they want. I see Trouble over there. Go ahead, Trouble.
Hey everybody, Newstoter DJ, Mr. Original, Black Pressure, Black up in the cut. Everybody else holding it down. Ray, I see you. It's been a minute. All the good points been made. I came into the space a little bit late, so I'm probably gonna make some of the good points. But from my perspective, this started a long time ago when I was growing up, and they first started taking protections from parents as far as chastising the children. And I specifically remember the time frame when it came out that all the child had to do was call DSS, and they had this. I remember in my town, they had this big campaign. You would see the commercials on TV prompting children to call the police or call the Department of Social Services if they were having problems with their parents. And I remember one day I was getting ready to get my butt tore out the frame for doing some stuff that I needed to get my butt tore out the frame for. And I told my mom, I was like, I can call the people on you now. And she pick up the phone and hand it to the sick caller. It'll be the last phone call you make, And that was just, I was a smart ass. So that was just, the time frames I started growing up in, where you realize that as a child that you could call these people one kid and get your parent in trouble so you could escape by being in trouble. And so it started then, or maybe it started before. But what's happening is we got a lot of gay Black Pressure,
Pressure, your mic, yeah, your mic ain't muted. Hey, can you hear me, Pressure?
Yeah, so I'm sorry I had to go off on one of my family members. I'm sorry.
Yeah, your mic wasn't muted, but go ahead, Trouble.
Sounded like he had the gas station pumping gas. Beep. Anyhow, um, so we have a lot of LGBT lawmakers, and some of them are out of the closet, so to speak, and some of them are still hiding in the closet, especially on the Republican side. See, the Democrats want you to know they're proud. You know, they wave their face. The Republicans been hiding for a long, long time, and that's why there's not a whole lot of pushback on it. They give a lot of mouth service, but they're not actually doing anything about it. They're not actually going on an all-out campaign about it. They just get on social media and talk about it, but that's not enough. Words are words, actions are actions. So what are you all actually doing about it if you are actually against this? So if it started with you being able to chastise your child, raise your child the way you want, and now we're delving into the home health care issue. Now you're taking away the protections. As a parent, once again, you're in my parental business telling me that I can't control my child's health care, that it has to be on the state. You're taking that away. So where does it end is the question. It's not so much as why are you doing it, because to a certain degree we can see why they're doing it, because they want total autonomy over all of our bodies, all of our minds. They want total control over how we're spending our money, where we're spending our money, how we are utilizing every aspect of our lives. They want that total control, and if you start with the children, then you've gained that generation, and so there's only up to go for there. Mr. Original said it was twisted. Yes, it's twisted because we're dealing with twisted individuals. There's no logic behind the things that they do when the end game for them has always been having total control. So if they take our children, the control of our children out of our hands, then they get to control how the generations move forward. They get to control the narrative. They get to formulate their thought processes as far as how they want them to see the world. They don't want you to see race. They want you to see exactly what it is that they want you to see. And so it's no mystery to me. I just kind of sit back and just kind of look at it. You can really kind of see where it's headed, and it's not headed in a good direction, because when they first started taking away our parental capabilities to even chastise our child, we didn't make enough noise. So they're hoping that we'll be quiet now, and the vast majority of Americans are being quiet about it. Now, we can say that there's a lot of conversations, but it's just conversations. And if you're not actually doing anything action-wise, if you're not showing up and shutting shit down, at these hearings, meetings, or outside of it, or however it needs to be done, if we're not physically putting in actions to let these lawmakers know that this isn't something that the American people want, we could talk about it all day long. In our spaces, the white folks I see, they talking about it in their spaces. It's just talk. It's just talk. So we gotta, as humans, period, we have to move away from talking, because these people don't understand anything other than action, direct action. And I'll land on that.
Thank you, Trouble. Glad to hear from you tonight. Let me give a shout out real quick, and she's not up in the space, but shout out to Goddess Michelle for her contribution on Cash App. Thank you, sister. I know you're not up in the space tonight, but still thank you anyways. Let me go ahead and get to Original. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, I just want to share this so people can have a better understanding as to how these people operate. See, when the Europeans were colonized in Africa, now this happened in this area of Ghana called Larti. So after they had conquered these people, they was forcing them to attend their little raggedy ass churches. And so what they figured out is that the people, they were just going through the motion. They did not accept the religion. So what they did after they saw that, they said, well, wait a minute, these people are not, they're not buying this. They're just going through the motion. So what they did after that, they went after the children. And so once they indoctrinated that first group of children with that crappy ass religion, And then when they had children and so on, and remember the commercial, and so on and so on and so on. That's how we got. That's how we got into the position that we're in today. It's because, and this is the same playbook that they have used in Africa many of time with these religions, but this time it's about sex. That's what they. That's exactly what they're doing now. Because they do that same. Because this brother I know who lives in Ghana, and he was supposed to bring the book back to me so I could scan it into a PDF file, but I haven't gotten it yet. But that's the same thing they did in Africa after they conquered the people. And this is another form of, right, I guess you can call it colonization or sexualization, sexualizing, however you want to phrase it. But that's where this whole process come from. See, they can't, like you said, like several people said earlier, they can't get the adults. So when you can't force the adults to accept it, then you go after the children, you know, and what's the saying? Children are the future. So that's the future that they want for children, and so they're upset now because they got now they know they got to come through us, and it ain't gonna happen. So this is an old playbook that they have been using for centuries, and I said, and the main target is black people, because remember now, over on the continent of Africa, you got all kind of sex trafficking going on over there, and this, that, and whatever. But this is the process that they have always used. And when it's like my friend that who lives in Ghana, he said he would see all these little children with these little white books. What the hell these children got over here? And so when he said, hey, come here for a minute, man, what you got over there? And it was a damn Bible. So that's the process. This is nothing but an extension of their colonization and how they want people to perceive the world. And instead of, and like who that, I think it was, who that said, this is a religion, you are right, because this is the same tactic they've always used in our land.
Alrighty, guys. I guess on that note, we'll go ahead and get ready to close it out for the night. We'll be back tomorrow night. I appreciate everybody coming up in the space and making this a good space as well, too. So shout out to all the speakers and the listeners tonight. Thank you to everybody who shared the space out as well, too. So, guys, we definitely appreciate that. Catch us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be back for another Twitter Space podcast. So we'll see you guys then. And everybody have a good night. Take care.